One of the most popular styles of fragrances out there is undoubtedly amber fragrances. These are fragrances that are hard to pinpoint as either masculine or feminine. They kind of just suit everybody. They're gorgeous, they're delectable, and they're also more long-lasting than, say, a citrus fragrance. This video is sponsored by LILYSILK. I have been eyeing their stuff for years and years, and I'm so excited to finally try them.
I just wanted to show you guys how I styled this blouse that I ordered from LILYSILK. It is just such soft material, and it's also nicely dense, so it's very, very comfortable to wear. Look at the sleeves of this top, just the detailing of it. I fell head over heels for it, and I just absolutely had to have it. This is me wearing the top with a blazer, so adding some vampire holiday party vibes to it. One of my favorite ways to wear blazer is that fashion editor look where you just like swing it over your shoulders like so, and it just looks so effortlessly put together.
So from the beginning of this channel, I've gone on and on about how I love to put on some perfume and then put on some snuggly silk pajamas. And one thing that I never sleep without is a silk pillowcase. So not all silk is created equally. This one definitely is denser than the type of silk pillowcases that I have at the moment. Even when I'm traveling, I'll carry a silk pillowcase with me. It just has so many benefits for the hair, for the skin. It helps protect them. And I never wake up with like sleep lines from laying on a pillow or anything like that.
The next item I ordered from LILYSILK was this beautiful Mongolian cashmere little crop top that can be used in so many different ways. I'm going to show you in a second. So here I actually layered it with that beautiful silk blouse underneath it, and it just gives this luxe vibe. And then here I've put on some leather trousers. I do prefer the blouse sticking out, not tucked in. There I go, dancing to my Afro beats, having a good time.
LILYSILK has a zero waste policy, so any materials that they aren't using or are cut off from a certain fabric will be used in a different type of product. You can read more about their ethics on their website. They've got wonderful nightwear, sleepwear, pajamas. They're definitely on my wish list. So use the code FRAGRANCE12 for 12% extra off of your purchase. As you may know, amber is an accord, so it is made up by perfumers. It usually consists of the three ingredients: vanilla, labdanum, and benzoin. You can also add, patchouli, little elements of whatever to create your type of amber, but those are the usual ingredients. I've actually found pieces of amber at the beach as well. I wanted to show you guys, I couldn't find it. But yeah, you cannot crack that stone, you cannot crack that amber and create an oil out of it. It has to be made up by the perfumer using different materials. One of my favorites is Ambre Fétiche, and this is probably the closest to an amber, pure amber fragrance that I have in the classical sense. It has that beautiful accord. You smell a lot of labdanum in here. Less vanilla, I would say, so it smells more resinous than it does sweet. It's not a gooey type of amber. Amber can go quite gooey. And yeah, I find this one to be just a classy amber. The sillage is moderate on this one, and the lasting power is very long. Another marvelous amber that's a good entry. So speaking about fragrances that will give you the idea of what amber is, Ambre Fétiche is a good one, and Amber Empire by Atkinsons is another one. This is an old school British brand, but it's a modern smelling perfume. This one's a little bit sweeter than Ambre Fétiche, where Ambre Fétiche maybe gets a little bit cloudy in a sense. This one is more vanillic, but still approachable, very approachable. Not very sweet. It's a good one. Another amber favorite is undoubtedly Soir by Maison Kurkdjian. This one I think is talked about a lot. I mean, it has that MFK sillage, that projection. It has that MFK subtlety of pizzazz. And personally, I'm a big fan of Soir. There was one year that I was just wearing this like a lot during the fall and winter months. And yeah, I think I actually had a person who complimented me on Baccarat one day and then complimented me on this one another day, and actually was like thinking it was the same fragrance. So there's something about the DNA. There's something that is a little bit addictive about the DNA in this. People, I guess, would argue that Baccarat is kind of an amber because it has this ambroxan, which is supposed to mimic whatever. This is the real deal amber. If you're looking for an amber from the MFK line, none other than Soir. So in the beginning, when I wasn't that into the ambers yet, you know, I had to develop a taste for it. I really loved Ambre de Merveilles by Hermés. This one is a really great introductory amber as well that also smells, that, you know, that high class, wonderful Hermès quality. And it comes in that round bottle, the characteristic Eau de Merveilles bottle amongst that line. And yeah, this one is really a standout amber if you're looking for a designer fragrance that has amber. It is a little bit pricier than your regular designer, but I think that it's worth it because it does smell miles better to me compared to some other ones out there. Okay, so this amber for me is a lot. Like, it goes very sweet and gooey. It is Costume National 21. I actually really love this amber on other people. I love smelling it past me. I had a bottle that I then gave to my roommate and it smelled amazing on her. Costume National has such a good price point, and I find that their fragrances are also quite unique considering the price point that you find them at. So check that one out if you are an amber purist and want something a bit gooier, a bit stickier. Costume National 21. In the premium price range, we have Ambre Impérial by Van Cleef & Arpels. This one is a good go-to amber as well. It starts off a little bit hard candy-ish for me, kind of mentholated like the way certain hard candies are when you suck on them. And yeah, this one also has that beautiful, straightforward amber dry down. So let's talk about some amber classics. Shalimar is one of the most beloved amber fragrances out there, dating back from the 1920s. And so this one I find a little bit difficult to wear. The vanilla is pushed forward in Shalimar, so it's also described often as a vanillic fragrance, and it has a warmth and depth to it that is really seductive. At least it used to be very seductive. So my favorite iteration of Shalimar is actually not even by Guerlain. Well, I love the Parfum Initial, but that's another story. My favorite iteration is Bengale Rouge, which is by Papillon, Artisan Perfumery, and it's actually a interpretation on Shalimar. This smells more like Shalimar than the current formulation of Shalimar out on the shelves. Don't quote me, I don't own the vintage Shalimar, but that's what I hear. This fragrance has a little bit more of a purr to it. The original Shalimar was slightly animalic. So if you enjoy animalics in your fragrances, you enjoy a little bit of character added to your amber, then try out Bengale Rouge. Another one of the most beloved ambers out there is by Maître, Parfumeur et Guantier, and this one is a powdery amber, so it has a sophistication to it. This brand actually has multiple ambers, so this one is Ambre du Népal that I have that is a little bit medicinal in it. But if you're looking for that deep orange, brink of brown, warming, calming amber, and then with a little bit of a powdery element to it as well, then check out this one. It is highly sophisticated, and if you really are a deep dive amber lover, then check out some of the other ambers that they have as well in the range. So speaking of cult amber fragrances, one that is an absolute must try is Ambre Sultan by Serge Lutens. This one is probably one of the first fragrances that created this dry desert genre, and it also inspired other fragrances, you know, to follow this dry, spicy amber. So the amber has a little bit of spice from coriander. It's got some patchouli in there as well. And for me, it's one of the most interesting ambers out there. It would be an amber that I would have a full bottle of. I actually have a decant of it in this small nifty Lutens travel case that they have. But the reason is this one was released in 2000, and the amber that I tried before this that I fell in love with was L'Air du Désert Marocain. So L'Air du Désert Marocain is actually, for me, more spicy than Ambre Sultan. And if you want even more of the amber pushed forward, then I would go for the extrait version of this, which is Au Cœur du Désert. Because I really enjoy the spicy element, then I prefer LDDM. And yeah, I would say before you smell this, go and smell Ambre Sultan or smell them side by side at the same time. But taste is always influenced by which fragrance you've smelled first, what your associations are, and all of that. So yes, in a battle, this one wins for me. But this one is the original, and you must give credit where credit is due. Now back to some affordable ambers that are out there that are easily grabbable. Prada Amber is one of my favorites despite price point. Like, I don't actually try to, you know, split up my fragrances by price point and say that for the price, this or that. No, it's each fragrance is measured despite of anything just based on the scent. So just based on the scent, I really love this amber fragrance, and it is amber and patchouli. So because I like my amber with a little bit of added something, I enjoy it with a patchouli. If you are uncomfortable with wearing a women's fragrance, say you're a man and you don't like that label, even though it doesn't matter, but if you care about that, then you can get the Pour Homme version, which is also very nice. And yeah, great scent despite of price point, and I would recommend it any day to anyone who is looking for an amber, but perhaps doesn't want that the full indulgence, you know. So now we're going to veer into tastier amber territory. So ambers that are leaning more on the gourmand side. Arguably, all of the ambers that have an added vanilla that's pushed forward are on the gourmand side, such as Soir. But one that I really like is So Musc Ravageur is actually the original scent by Frédéric Malle. For me, it is overpriced, but you can argue that I own a lot of overpriced fragrances. I just haven't bit the bullet with that one. So I have the dupe of it, which is Merveilles by L'Herbolario. I'm not sure if it was an intentional dupe. This isn't a dupe company per se, but it is that very delicious, gooey amber, but very sweet as well. And it's like an amber, but not an amber. It's a complex fragrance. Basically what I'm doing is describing Musc Ravageur. If you would like the more affordable option, then try out Merveilles. Musc Ravageur is superior though, so don't always expect because somebody says that two fragrances are comparable and they're at different price points that the same amount has been spent on the ingredients on the lower price point fragrance. I do smell higher quality in Musc Ravageur, but Merveilles does the trick for me. So the vanilla is definitely pushed forward in this composition, but you also have sandalwood and you also have cinnamon. So it can veer on, yeah, that tasty, but it's not pie or anything like that, which we will get to. So speaking of originals and dupes, if you like the scent profile of a gooey pie-like fragrance, then definitely get the original Ambre Narguile. I have the dupe from L'Herbolario, which is Dolce Lisir. I have the Parfum de Mali version as well, which is also a direct copy of that one. Just go straight to the source if you can. If you can save up for the original, I would absolutely recommend that because it is the best version of it. It is the one that was created first. It is the one that was, you know, imagined by the perfumer. So again, let's give credit where credit is due, and you will also get a phenomenal fragrance versus trying to, you know, find a loophole. This one is the most delicious, tasty amber out there for me. And I do prefer smelling this on others as well. It's a little bit too tasty for me. I'm gonna, you know, bite my arm off if I'm wearing it. Yeah, this is cinnamony, apple pie-y, gooey. You just feel all of those elements in there. So when it comes to affordable options of this tasty, tasty thing, we also have Louis Cardin. This is called Sacred. You may have seen this one around on YouTube. I've seen this quite a bit. And for the price, this actually is a really delectable amber fragrance with caramel and vanilla. It's got that gourmandness, and this is an accord that is used time and time again by high-end brands. So if you enjoy that vanillic, toffee-like type of fragrance, then try out Sacred. I think I have a discount code with this brand. I'll leave it here on screen if I find it. So a brand that is in that premium price range but does really unique stuff, like unique takes on things, is Histoire de Parfum. And their vanilla, which I used to own, I got rid of it because I just didn't wear it, but it is phenomenal. It is Amber 114 or Ambre 114. And this one I used to spray on the pages of my books because it has this book-life quality to it. Speaking of powdery amber fragrances, this is like more like dust like amber. It's amber that's milled into dust, but it's still an amber purist fragrance. It's that deep orange, wonderful color. And yeah, highly recommend this one if you are an amber purist. So sticking to the premium price range, another brand that does not skimp on ingredients in my opinion, is Gallivant. And this is called Istanbul. It does remind me of Istanbul just because of the name, actually, I will admit. I look at it and then I spray it and I'm like, take me back to Istanbul. This one is a slightly spicy amber. So this is an amber with interest. So slightly spicy. The vanilla has taken a large step back, and you have a Popinux and lavender and it kind of like a fuchsia quality just dipped into there, just slowly, you know, just a tiny little element of that. But a Popinux is what I smell a lot of. A Popinux is a resin that is so interesting to me. I love resinous fragrances, and a Popinux you don't find in a lot of perfumes. Perhaps it's an expensive ingredient, but I just don't find a lot of Popinux fragrances, or myrrh for that matter. Let me know if you know any down below. And so yes, Istanbul is a good price point to get that amber with interest / a Popinux fix. So now we're veering more into the ambers with interest. You gotta love some interest, okay? That's what us frag heads, deep frag heads, are looking for all the time, right? So this one is one of my favorites. It's literally amber that is set on fire. It is Tango by Massimiliano. You've got a lot of strong, powerful elements going on in here. It's a little bit synthetic animalic smelling as well. It gives you kind of a gasoline feeling. It could give you kind of gasoline, like if amber was in gasoline form, it would smell like Tango. And so yeah, this is a fragrance that I find to be super cool if you like an amber with interest, and yeah, that slight bit animalic. Still sweet. It's kind of hot. Like it's a very warming fragrance. Like literally it feels hot to wear. Okay, peeps, we're going even more animalic with Ambre by Rania J. And this fragrance is animalic, like 50% animalic, 50% amber. So you have to really be into your animalic fragrances for this one. If you can pull it off, I salute you. I cannot pull it off. You know what? Maybe I could, but do I need to wear every fragrance on the planet? No, I do not. I will leave this wonderful, wonderful fragrance for somebody else to wear. Rania J is one of the most underrated brands out there because you really smell the quality in these ingredients. And the animalic aspect of this comes from oud. So you got some skankiness from that oud, along with some spices, along with this thick, very dark amber, like the darkest amber you can find. And then you got some Gaiac wood. So this is an utterly complex, beautiful, beautiful amber fragrance. I think the reason why I don't have that one is because I wear Tango. Maybe after Tango, I'm going to go for some Ambre Loup. But yeah, not for amber beginners, not for fragrance journey beginners, unless you dare. But yeah, very, very interesting amber. So lastly, we're going to go into that animalic depth, but make it Middle Eastern smoky. So this is one of the latest amouages. This is Opus 13 called Silver Oud. And this is, again, brought in with a depthy oud. This fragrance doesn't have any like fluttery top notes, anything like that. It goes straight to woo, straight to depth, straight to power. And the oud in here is more Middle Eastern. The Rania J, I would say they've made a Western interpretation of this. This is very clearly Middle Eastern in interpretation. This was a press sample sent to me by Amouage. Amouage was like, you can go get your own bottle, B. Which I get, because these are like, it's $500, okay? It's a pricey fragrance. But with Amouage, you do get amazing quality fragrances with them. So check this one out if you love your oud and would like that in your ambery fragrance. So there you have it, done. Loads and loads of amber fragrances. If you don't like any fragrance on this list, then I'm sorry, my friend, you do not like amber, and that is absolutely okay. You do not have to like every single genre of perfume out there. I've personally learned to love amber, and I love it. It's amazing. Lasts long, warms, and you can actually smell really, really unique with the right amber composition. So please let me know your favorite amber fragrance down below. Of course, I cannot own every amber on the planet. I'm not trying to either. And I look forward to chatting with you down below. Also, check out LILYSILK. Remember to go on their website for 12% off any purchase that you make. I'm loving their stuff. I'm definitely gonna go order some pajamas after this. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.